And you are back with us, Manifesting Your Dreams with Pablo Miguel. We're here in Las Vegas with Kim Simsbury. We're having a great time, a lot of great stories. And we're talking about imagination. And we want to stimulate you so you open your mind. Imagine things that maybe you never thought about before, right? I was talking to a good friend of mine yesterday who was looking for a property to invest. And then she showed it to me and she said, this is a $5 million property. And it was like way more that she used to think, and it was an incredible story. You hear about it another episode. But we were talking with Kim about some of the things he's been able to manifest. If you haven't seen the previous segment, how he manifested his dream car, how he manifested the dream girl that he's still happily married and travel around the world with. So he's somebody that had taken the principles in this book, those 17 principles that Napoleon Hill identified, and put them to practice over decades now, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm sure that as you were manifesting all these dreams that you had, you went through challenges, right?
No.
You went through but you know what? It's kind of funny because people watched The Secret a few years ago, and they think all you have to do to get your dream life is sit down for 5 minutes every morning, put your order on the universe, and then go and drink a Coca-Cola, and things are going to show up at your door, right? Or that they're going to set a goal, they're going to take some action, and everybody's going to say yes, right? And we know that's not the case. So what made you special? How come you are able to manifest all your things, and you had a strategy to overcome obstacles? So when they run into obstacles, because we know they will, they could be a little bit better prepared. What can you share about that?
Absolutely. You know, one of my favorite quotes, and I don't even remember who it's by, to be honest with you, is that the definition of a pro is somebody who is faced with the same problems, challenges, and obstacles that everybody else is, yet they get the job done and they make it look easy, right? When you look at successful people, whether they're paraded across the stage at a business function or whatever it might be, right?
Athletes.
Yeah, it could be athletes. You're sitting there going like, oh my gosh, I wish that was me, right? But a lot of times, people would not have the inner resolve, the inner power to go through some of those challenges. Oh, we all have them, but you know, a lot of times people just kind of throw in the towel, right? Where others, they will power through them. And I've certainly had a number of those in my life. I mean, some of it has been financial ups and downs. I actually, amongst my peers or my sphere of influence, my network, I know a lot of people that are very successful, but I can't think of one of them that you would look at today, and by most people's standards, you were like, they got an incredible lifestyle. I can't think of one of them that at some point in their life did not have serious challenges, you know. And some of them, it might have been financial challenges, some of them it might have been health challenges or whatever it was. But, and I don't know what people's spiritual beliefs are, but God seems to have a sense of humor, doesn't he? I mean, it's like...
Yeah, sometimes I'm not laughing, right? But
whenever,
funny later on, right?
Whenever we think we really figured it out, right, then he kind of throws us a curveball, and you're going to have to figure it out. And let me just tell you kind of the short Reader's Digest version of a rather long story as to how I really made that decision to follow a success pattern like Think and Grow Rich. And it certainly is not the only thing that, you know, I've studied a lot of this. And it's, as I said in one of our previous segments, you know, I just made a decision early on to listen to people that had achieved what I wanted to achieve, and not listen to people that kept on telling me it can't be done, because they were all broke, right? Exactly. They hadn't done it. And when I first immigrated from my native Copenhagen, Denmark, I moved here to the U.S. at the ripe old age of 25 years old. And I had worked for a few years in corporate marketing and management with a Fortune 500 and a Fortune 100 company back in Europe. These are both massive, massive global companies. And I got this idea to move to the U.S. and literally just packed my bags and went, right? And I was married at the time. My wife was American, and she got homesick, so that's basically what spurred it on.
Oh, wow, okay.
And I remember that I arrived here and started looking for a job. You know, we were living with her mom at the time. And I would be sending out resumes and, trying to get creative and get in front of people and try to network or whatever. I spoke with a much thicker accent back then.
You had an accent?
than I have now. And it was very difficult to find because even though I had a degree in marketing, I'd worked for these companies, Southern California, who cares about a Danish dude with a degree that you had 100 people standing in line here, right?
Wow.
So it was very difficult for me. And I ended up registering with Manpower, the temp agency.
Oh, yeah. My mother worked for Manpower in Argentina.
Oh, no
in
kidding.
Buenos Aires many years ago.
I mean, I remember this as if it was yesterday. And they called me up one day and they said, they had a job for me. And it was like some kind of a driver position or whatever. And I was supposed to show up at this particular office, and I didn't need to wear a suit and a tie, but in their words, you had to be clean cut. Right?
Clean cut, okay, yes.
So I'm showing up at this facility, and I'm walking in, and it looked almost like a warehouse, and I'm like, hello, I couldn't really find anybody. And this guy walks over. I'm not kidding. I mean, this is many years ago, so I may be exaggerating a little bit, but he looked like he was at least 7 feet tall, right? And in a tank top, and comes over there, and he's kind of looking at me. Who are you, right? And I'm like, well, I was told to, report here for this driver's position. And he says, I don't know about a driver's position. He says, you can start right over there. And it was like a manufacturing plant where they were putting these, dividers for open office spaces, for cubicles.
Like a cubicles.
Yeah.
Like a cubicle. Okay.
And I'm not knocking that kind of job, but it just did something to me, my psyche, right? I was like, there is no way. I'm going to figure this deal out, right?
I think we all been there, right? Where we got into a job and I said, I don't want to stay. I want to get my first paycheck and I need a way out really quick, right?
Yeah. So this was before the cell phones and all this. I went over to a payphone in the corner, called my wife at the time, told her to come pick me up. And needless to say, she was not a happy camper, right? We were as close to broke as you can get. And at that time, I had just been introduced to a direct marketing opportunity, which for me was almost like a foreign language. I had never been in sales before. I'd been in marketing, but it's two completely different things.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I was more on the administrative and the creative side of things.
Ideas, not so much on the
exactly
knocking down the pavement type of thing, right?
Right. But I had been introduced to this concept with a health and wellness company, which I actually thought was really exciting, right? I just didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
So I literally, because the people that had introduced me to it, they say, well, make a list of everybody that you know. Well, they were all in Europe. I didn't know anybody here.
You didn't know anybody here, right?
So I literally took out the phone book. And I just started calling. I would call on chiropractors, and I mean, however I could get creative.
By the way, if you don't know what a phone book is, go to Wikipedia and look it up.
Yeah, again, I'm dating myself here, right? My point is that one of my greatest mentors, Mr. Jim Rohn, he says that there are times in your life where you come to that fork in the road, right? Where you got to make that decision. Do I or don't I? Where you draw that line in the sand and say, no more, right? And that moment was the moment for me where I basically looked myself in the mirror and I said, never, ever again am I going to let somebody else dictate my income. And ever since I walked out of that facility, I never got a paycheck, right? I have never collected a paycheck in over 30 years that I've lived in this country.
Wow.
I have what I call a 1099 mentality versus a W-2 mentality. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing to do if that's what makes people feel more comfortable. But I knew that I wanted to be in control of my own circumstances. And that was kind of the defining moment that spurred that on. And it's not like everything has been rosy since then.
Absolutely.
I've had ups and downs. There have been challenges.
Absolutely.
I remember I've gone out on appointments and the car I was driving, I parked it way down the street because you don't want to see anybody when you're driving.
You did the same thing I done? No way.
Been there, done that, right?
You walked 2 blocks so you can see the car.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you mentioned a little earlier the plan, do, review process, and maybe some of our viewers never heard that before. Yeah. I think that's a huge determinant of some of your success. Could you explain that process or how do you do it?
Yeah, I'll be happy to. And that is another huge key to goal setting, right? You create your plan, you start with the end in mind, this is what I want to accomplish, right? And then this is how I'm going to do that. And usually you have some people that will guide you a little bit, right? And it can be, let's just keep it on business for now, right? I'm going to make X number of contacts per day, or whatever your strategy may be. And nowadays it may include that I'm going to spend so much time on social media.
That's right.
Whatever it is. I mean, times have changed, technology has changed, but I'm telling you, the basic principles of success, they haven't changed one bit. It's exactly the same as it was when I started.
It's kind of like gravity, right? Some of those things that this is the way the world operates, right? Yeah.
And you know what's interesting is people like myself that have had it and lost it and rebuilt it. I've done that a few times. It's almost like getting on a bike. Once you've tried it, you know what you're doing. And yes, it takes hard work, but you have a choice. You can either stay down or you can keep going, right? So you create your plan, you create your strategy, take action. You actually take action, you go out and do it. And then you sit and you review. Like I said, sometimes I didn't achieve the goals in the timeline that I had anticipated, right? So now you can sit and you can adjust it. But if you don't have a goal and a strategy to start with, it's like the blind leading the blind, right? I thought I was going to make $10,000 this week, but it didn't happen, so the opportunity didn't work. No. Your strategy failed.
Exactly. Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think it was Henry Ford that said, it's not that you fail, your plan failed, so you need a new plan, right? Absolutely. So you could say okay, what went great, right? You took action, you look at it. What did I do that went great, right? What was good about it? Because maybe we didn't get the goal, but we did accomplish something.
Absolutely.
And we don't give ourselves enough credit, right?
And a great time for me to do that is I do it on a weekly basis on Sunday night.
Okay.
I evaluate what happened that week.
Okay.
I do it every 90 days, every quarter.
Okay.
Where are we at? And then I do it once a year, like most people, between Christmas and New Year's. You sit and you take inventory of the year that passed.
What happened?
What did we do? What did we achieve? What do we need to adjust going into next year? And this is not rocket science, you guys. Any successful company, not just person, they do the same thing. They call it forecast, right?
Exactly. But see, success leaves clues. So I hope you're paying attention and I hope you're taking notes. We're going to be right back. We're getting a lot of great ideas from Kim Simsby, from Copenhagen, Denmark, via Carlsbad, California. You're here in Manifesting Your Dreams. If you just join us, don't go anywhere because the best is saved for last, right? We'll be right back.